Our last lecture for Chapter 6 will focus on identity development. As you can imagine, adolescence and emerging adulthood is a time of figuring out who we are, and that involves a lot of different aspects of the self. This is an interesting period of psychosocial development where adolescents and emerging adults are trying to figure out who they are. That process can prompt them to either develop their identity or something we call confusion. As you might imagine, social relationships are extremely important in this process of figuring out who we are. So an individual who has developed their identity has defined who they are, what their values are, and what direction they want their life to take. That means that they've committed to things like careers, relationships, sexual orientations, their ethnic identity, the ideals and values that they hold, and even their religious beliefs. And the theory believes that in order to do this, we have to first explore possibilities. This process allows us to resolve identity crises where we have periods of feeling unsure about who we are. So again, the key here is exploration, exploring, exposing oneself to new things, to new possibilities, taking time to reflect on the pros and cons of career options, of belief systems we might not be familiar with. An interesting aspect of this has to do with personality. We know that people that are more open-minded are more likely to go through this exploration process. On the other hand, individuals who have not been allowed or allowed themselves to explore might end up in role confusion, where they have a lack of self-directed life course or self-definitions. They might have conflicts that have been unresolved, decisions that they've not made or made for the wrong reasons. Or they might have a society or a community or even a family that restricts their choices. Oftentimes this results in them being psychologically unprepared for the challenges of adulthood, specifically in terms of who they are and how they feel about themselves. So we actually see 4 different identity statuses. Many of us reach these statuses during emerging adulthood, but I do want to say that it's not a one and done thing. Most people will go through multiple periods of exploration and commitment throughout their lives, but adolescence and emerging adulthood does tend to be an important period for both exploration, trying out different things, and commitment, deciding which thing is really us. So I want to take you through these 4 different statuses that we can have. Let's start by looking at identity achievement. We can enjoy a picture of my brother-in-law graduating from law school while we talk about this. Identity achievement is what happens when an individual has explored different life options and committed to the values and goals that are important to them. The period of exploration is critical here. Commitment can happen without exploration, but only through allowing ourselves to explore different possibilities can we achieve identity achievement. So here's a quick example. After trying out a few different majors, John learned that he loved law. John is not my brother-in-law, his name's Matt. I should probably sub out John's name for Matt. While trying out different internships, he discovered that his favorite is criminal defense. After John graduates, he will attend law school and become a criminal defendant. The key in this example is the different aspects of exploration. He tried out different internships. He tried out different majors. He found the one that he really liked and has committed to pursuing it. Individuals who achieve identity achievement tend to have more of what we call an information gathering cognitive style, where they seek out information. They don't ignore it. They don't just passively wait for it to come to them, but they actively go out and try to explore and learn things themselves and to critically evaluate it. Individuals who reach identity achievement tend to have higher self-esteem, to be more open-minded, and to feel that they're more in control of their own life. We can, however, have commitment without exploration, where we commit to different values, different goals, different careers, different belief systems without having ever experienced exploration. without having tried different things, learned about different approaches to life, practiced different skill sets to see what we're actually good at. My example here, John has always known that after graduating high school, he would attend OU just like his dad, major in business just like his dad, and move back home to take over his dad's firm. John never considered any other life paths. Now, I want to quickly say that many people have this similar life journey unfold for them, and that's okay. It's not wrong to do the thing your dad did and take over the family business, of course. But the key here is that John never considered any other life paths. He never allowed himself to explore other possibilities, to figure out if that's actually his values, his goals, his career dreams. Individuals in identity foreclosure tend to have low levels of anxiety and high levels of satisfaction because they feel like they've done what they're supposed to do. However, they tend to have a more dogmatic and inflexible cognitive style where they do not critically evaluate information. They refuse to be open-minded, to think about others' perspectives, to consider the value in other approaches to life. And they tend to depend on others for their self-esteem. Their self-worth isn't coming from within, it's coming from the value that other people place on them, other people's judgments. So that can be very harmful for one's self-esteem. Our next identity status is identity moratorium. And this is where you have an individual who hasn't committed to specific goals and life paths yet, but they're going through a period of exploration. My example here, John has no idea what he wants to be when he grows up. Every weekend, John works at a different internship, legal firms, doctor's offices, social services, so on and so forth, in hopes of discovering his true passion. This is a period of exploration where an individual has yet to commit to something. They're not ready. They don't know who they really are yet, what they want to commit to, but they're trying to figure it out by once again being open-minded. Individuals in identity moratorium also tend to have that information gathering cognitive style where they're seeking out information and experiences and critically evaluating it. Because of that, they may move into identity achievement. But they also might move into what we call identity diffusion. And this is our last identity status. Identity diffusion is where we do not have commitment or exploration. For example, John doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, so every weekend he sits at home and watches Netflix. He'll figure it out some other time. These individuals don't explore things, but they also don't commit to things, so they're left in this kind of period of stagnation where nothing's happening. They haven't made commitments, they haven't even tried to start figuring out what they want to be and who they are. This cognitive style tends to be described as diffuse avoidant, where these individuals avoid dealing with decisions and avoid even considering new information, having experiences that might push them one way or the other. These individuals tend to go along with the crowd or maybe leave it up to fate rather than actively trying to discover things on their own. And unfortunately, that can lead to low self-esteem and higher rates of depression. That brings me to the end of Chapter 6. As always, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out.